the topic today is how to use Trello in a real estate team and kind of combine a virtual assistant into that whole mix.
With Trello, I use the free version of it, so it doesn't even cost us anything,
Jeez.
which is pretty awesome. So we just have a couple of boards. We found that we don't need that. So to me, having a free system is awesome because I feel like I had so many different systems and they're all $30. Well, it
Right.
all adds up, So, but I would say with Trello, like just jump in, and if you have a current person, just have them write stuff out and just get it written down, and then you can play with it and you can chat on the Trello card to develop it. But I think it's just do it, because you'll be so happy that you did. So I'm in the Philadelphia area. Currently, I have one virtual assistant from my OutDesk, as well as a marketing person.
Yep.
I have Wanda, who is my virtual assistant, is doing all of the administrative tasks. She does the transaction coordination. I had a team a year ago. I had a team of 6 agents. A year and a half ago, I had 8 agents.
Yep.
I now have 1. So really just trying to kind of trim the fat and focus on the revenue, generating streams and the highest and best use.
Cool.
And what I found were the agents that were on the team were not the best use. And it also led me to hiring, my VA, and really just finding someone who was going to be more productive, efficient, and effective
Yep.
to, increase the bottom line. So this year, again, big transition year. I'm not sure if you guys heard, there's a couple things going on in the world right now. So a little bit of that impacted some of our business. We lost about 6 million in business within 3 days of COVID. So nonetheless, we'll close under 25 million this year. In a very down year. In a different world, it would have looked more like 40, but hey, that's all right. It's giving a chance to step back and really focus on, what we're doing and improve systems and processes.
That's exactly what this call is about. What's the system and process to cross that $1 million, threshold? Right now, your revenue, you're going to end the year around 600,000. You think is that kind of what you're going to do?
Mm-hmm.
I'm interested how a virtual assistant can use Trello, how a real estate team might use Trello, and what you've learned as you implemented this system and process for your business. Why did you decide Trello? And at what point did you decide you needed a system and a process to run the team, to run the team?
Yes. So Trello was recommended through Real Estate B School, who is the company that I use for coaching.
Nice.
And I spoke with quite a few individuals there who were using it, and it seemed like it made the most sense. So I tried it out myself, and through kind of playing around with it, decided that it was going to, achieve the things that we wanted to. I had actually started out using Wunderlist, which is just a really basic kind of to-do list, and had built out some of these kind of checklists in there.
Yep.
So that was like my step 1 of kind of like first grade. And then I graduated to middle school and so forth. So it was recommended to me, tried it out myself, and then kind of integrated it in. It definitely takes time to set up, and it's an ever evolving process, because to me, what's big is to have every single step in here so that somebody can pick this up. A brand new, transaction coordination admin can pick this up and they can run with it. So not only do I have every step, but then we also have how-to sheet and videos linked in a separate Google Drive, so that as they're going through each task, the individual could say, okay, it says do XYZ. I don't know how to do XYZ, but they can go back and reference the video or the how-to sheet on how to actually do that step. So it's creating kind of the process, and then creating kind of the training that goes along with it, that doesn't involve me doing that and explaining, because it's so, time consuming to have to explain those things over and over again. So I'm big on doing videos, sharing my screen, talking through it while I'm doing it one time. Then I don't have to do it again.
Show us one of those examples, because first of all, I love your mindset, because that's exactly mine. Anytime I want something done, I'm like, okay, can I do a video, explain it, and then give it away, and then never ever have to talk about it again? Like that's I'm kind of lazy like that. I think that's the thing. But can you share with us one of those examples of, like, in Trello, a task where you click on it and then you pull up a video, and then how long is that video? What kind of detail? What did you share in that video? I just want to kind of make sure that we're being thorough about exactly the system.
Sure. So if I just go to my Google Drive, I have, obviously lots of different folders, but we have our Trello how-to sheet.
Okay.
Not rocket science here. Then you have your buyer Trello, seller Trello. This is, someone threw in how to process a termination, and then document names. So for us, we have, different documents have different names. Oh, send me a buyer broker. And they're like, what's a buyer broker? Oh, it's a buyer agency contract, but it actually says buyer/tenant agency. So it's like getting all of those names, in one place.
Yep.
So with the buyer Trello, we basically have every step is here. Pre-offer, offer prep, under contract, after settlement. So now if we go back to my Trello boards, and this is my templates here. So under our templates, I have a section for pre-offer, offer prep, under contract, and after settlement. So the same as here. So you could follow along and say, okay, offer prep. Where are the how-to sheets on offer prep? If that didn't keep popping up, it would make my life a lot easier. But if we go to the top here to offer prep, create a Trello card. In Command, create a contact. Command is through KW, DocuSign, how to do that.
It's your CRM. I'm just clarifying for those who aren't KW people. Command is just a CRM like Salesforce or HubSpot or any other CRM.
Yeah, so we don't actually use it as our CRM, but you have to create basically what's called like an opportunity through it. So KW knows what business we're doing.
Right.
But pretty simple steps here. Most of them are self-explanatory. Command, save mortgage pre-approval. CTE, add client once buyer broker assigned. CTE is what we use for financial and goal tracking. So once we have a buyer broker signed, we're going to add that into CTE. So if we go back here, I've got a how to add to CTE. So if the person doesn't know how to do that, they open it up, go to CTE. Here's the link, my business tab, add a new line, property address, and so forth. So there's no reason why I ever have to show anyone how to do that ever again. It's simple, follow the steps, you can figure it out. Things that are more complex, we have videos on. These are pretty simple steps. But this is the pre-offer, is really just setting the stage. Then you get to the offer prep. A little bit, more complex, creating the documents, setting them up in DocuSign so that they're ready for me to then review before we send them to the client. Then once we go under contract, we broke things up into sort of day one. So what needs to be done right away? And then we get down to, day 2. And then, I think we've got day 10, day 16. So there's some sort of kind of a timeline. So it doesn't look like, oh my gosh, there's 500 tasks. But as you can see, I'm scrolling through, there's a lot of things here. But it's all, simple tasks that the person can complete. So in Command, again, KW wants to see stuff. So we have to submit these documents to them once we go under contract.
Right.
Check off above is meant for these labels that we use here. So when you see the labels on my big screen, you can see as we go through a transaction, you get less and less of the labels. So that's really a way for us to track how many tasks are left. And so we have command submission 1. Once that's complete, that would be checked off here. So we check that off, and now that's gone.
Got
So
it.
that's what that's talking about, completing it up above. But it's really, again, just every single step that we go through in, Trello, add the due dates above. So we've got an area where here are all of our important due dates: execution date, first deposit, reply to inspection, second deposit, title order, mortgage, settlement. So I don't want my VA wasting time searching for this. It's all right here. She sets it up one time, and she sets it up when she's sending out the preliminary email to the seller side that's telling them about the due dates anyway. So you figure it out one time, it gets input into the system, it gets set as reminders on her calendar, and then it's finished. Then we do a lot with email templates. So these are all email templates that are sent out that the VA knows what to fill in. And then we're also scheduling a lot of our templates now. So before it was, okay, you need to go back into the file like every day. Nope. Now we're scheduling this buyer pending 5 email that's going to send, out 3 to 4 days before deposit 2 is due. That's all done day 1. So
Right.
essentially, almost all of our emails that are going out day 1, or at least they're being set to be scheduled to go out. Day 1. So
How do you do that, Jennifer? Just to make sure that we're answering it, is one of my questions. How does the CRM, your email calendar, CTE, commitment to excellence, how do they all play with Trello in your world?
So I am sure there's a more sophisticated way to do this, but we're literally just using, Gmail and Google Calendar.
Got it.
So if this is, reminder that the deposit's due, Wanda has this template saved in her Gmail. She pulls it up. She schedules for it to send. It's due on the 10th. Great. On the 6th, it goes out, and it's scheduled through her Gmail.
Perfect.
And then she adds that due date in her calendar. We looked into having systems that automatically do it. To me, it was more trouble than it was worth. Yep. Because every deal changes, and the reply to inspections due this day, but if the buyer replies on that day, now it becomes this. So we manually do it. It's not a lot of dates. It takes about 5 minutes to input these into the calendar. And again, it's done day 1.
Yeah.
So it's done once, it's done right. It's easy. The seller side knows the dates as well. Mortgage commitment is due. This gets emailed to the lender a day before it's due. Now It's on Wanda's calendar the day it's due. And then we actually have a reminder. So she'll put the calendar reminder that its mortgage commitment is due on the 10th. There will be an email that gets sent to her on the 9th. Yep. And an email that gets sent to her on the 7th. So all of our due dates, we have a 1-day email reminder and a 3-day email reminder. What I found is having a calendar alert, those get missed. You're in the middle of a Zoom and you click off of it or whatever it is. So I have the reminders in our Google Calendar set as actual email reminders. So that goes into her email box. She doesn't miss it. She can see that it's due, and it stays there till it's addressed.
Love it. How do you manage what's done versus what's not done, and multiple contributors? Because let's say the buyer's agent who is on your team misses a deadline, and Wanda is having to hold the buyer's agent, accountable, and then it pushes everything back. Like how do you manage, multiple people in it, deadlines, and then a virtual assistant being able to see a global view of what is done and versus what isn't done?
Sure. So in Trello, there's this chat feature here at the bottom where, I can say, at the Geddes team, that'll alert Wanda right away that I'm telling her something.
Yep.
Is this complete? But ideally, I don't even want to ask that, because I know if it's checked off, it's done. If it's not checked off, it's not done. I don't need to ask.
Right.
When this is a deal, this template is for my deals where there's not another agent involved. So we actually have a different template that is It's on another board. It'll take me too long to get over to it. But when another agent is involved, we have pre-offer dash admin, pre-offer dash agent. So
Got
it's
it.
very clear on who is responsible for what task. So Wanda could see, okay, the agent could see Wanda needs to create the Trello card before I can input the dates.
Right.
So it kind of works together, and then all of the communication is done through the chat feature in the card on Trello. We're not emailing about it. We're not texting about it. We're not doing any of that. It's all in here so that anyone at any point can stop and look and see what's going on. As far as the accountability goes, to me, what I realized in my restructuring or, breaking down my team and then starting to rebuild is if you have the right people and you have the right process, the right people will follow the process.
Right.
So what I found is when I had agents who weren't following my pretty good process, not perfect, those were not the right people. So I think that's my simple answer, although it sounds pretty elementary. But if you have a process that makes the agents' lives easier and they're not doing it, then maybe we need to look at something else. Another thing I did was if you, the agent, follow the process and do all the steps and you don't miss any of your due dates,
Right.
then the admin will do more of the deal. They'll do more tasks for you. So it's like the more you follow your process, the more they do. So if you do X on time, the admin will do Y and Z. You miss X, now you have to do Y and Z.
Sure.
So it was, kind of a positive, combination of positive, negative reinforcement to try to get the agents to do things. Hey, if you tell us about the contract, you send over all the signed paperwork day one, Wanda will set the due dates for you. She'll put the calendar reminders. She'll send out all of the auto emails. If you send over incomplete documents, she's not touching it. It's all you know.
Yeah.
So that seemed to work for me. But again, it's having the process the right way. And, we have it very detailed on every little step,
Yep.
FUB is our CRM, follow-up boss, add the birthday, calendar, add birthday to, recurring reminder. Here's our add the calendar dates from Trello. Set the reminder. That's actually, I apologize, it's 0 days, 1 day, and 3 days is the email reminder.
How successful do you think you would have been with virtual assistants if you didn't have any of this stuff documented at all?
We would have had to build this to be successful. So, even the way my process is now, it's taken time for training. Now having it all built out properly, bringing someone on new would not be very time consuming for me at all. So I think it's spending the time to do it the right way, and it's having the right person too. So when Wanda started, we had probably 70% of it done. So then it would be, okay, Wanda, do these things. All right, I'll talk to you in 2 or 3 hours. In 2 or 3 hours, we'd talk and she'd say, Jen, I don't know how to do X, Y, Z. Okay, did you look at the how-to sheet? Yep, it's blank. Oh, okay. Great. Let's walk through it together over Zoom, screen share. And she would create the manual. She'd take notes on it and then she completed it. So I think now having it all complete, it would be seamless to bring someone else in and say, here are the reins for the transaction coordination, take over. And I mean, my efficiencies with it, people complain about the paperwork and the transaction coordination. I mean, that is such a small portion of my business now, where in the past, I'd say my admin spent probably 90% of the time on it. I'd say Wanda is spending 25% of her time on it. In a perfect world with booming business, she'll spend well under 50% of her time doing transaction coordination, which means I'll run 25 million through the business with someone doing 15 hours a week of transaction coordination.
Right.
That's good numbers. So
what do you believe your time investment is? And And I have a follow-up after that. But if you were to go back in time, add up all of the time that you've spent, not only documenting, but, adding to the board, adding, these details, what in total do you believe you've spent personally?
I'm not sure that I could put a number on it. If you're hiring somebody new and they're spending 20 hours a week on this, I mean, in 1 week, it should be finished. I mean,
Mm,
I really feel if that's all they're spending their time on, and you're again going through, depending on how many things you already have, processes for. But if you have a process down and kind of just making it pretty and putting it into place, I would say, having some of it done, 1 week. If you don't have as much done, maybe 2 weeks. And then we're fine tuning things still, going
yep.
through a transaction. Hey, why did this person ask for this? Why, that's in one of our email templates. Oh, wait, because that email didn't go out yet. All right. Well, now this is the second buyer that's asked this question. We need to change it and send that email out sooner. Great. We go to the template right then and there and adjust it. So it's continually evolving. But I mean, if somebody has a full-time admin that they're bringing on, and again, even if they're doing this really full time, this should be able
Hmm.
to be built out, and then the how-to sheets to accompany it in not a great amount of time, at
Yep.
least.
So to implement Trello, if you already have your processes documented and you already have a CRM and CT and all these other things, your belief is 2 weeks and you should be up and running. And then it's just tweaking over the next 6 months as you perfect the system.
Exactly. Yep. And simple things like, okay, we use it's called showing time for,
Yep.
scheduling showings. So, okay, in there it says, request the inspection and showing time. All right. Well, then Wanda would have to leave Trello, open showing time, do all that. Nope. Let's put the link right in Trello. So, we're making a short
Right.
link and it's being input right in Trello. So she doesn't even leave Trello, clicks on it. So we've improved the efficiencies over time, but I think it's just getting it written down. And I mean, I spent a few hours and just in my head went through a transaction and wrote it out, and it was sloppy and it was messy and it was chaotic, but it's just getting it down and then doing it. And then the other thing that I did with Wanda that was super helpful was we did a mock deal. So, okay, 123 Main Street is under contract today, Wanda. Go
Yep.
through the steps and do them. And that was a great way for her to not only learn, and she made some mistakes, but they were emailed to me. It was fine. But it gave her practice, but not in real time.
Yep.
Um, and then it also gave her an opportunity to run through and made adjustments through there. So I think it's just getting all of it in one place, trying to fine tune it, doing an example, and
Hmm.
then running with it, in your real business in real time.
So how much in value do you believe this has added to your business? Like if you were to sell your business with these systems in place today versus if you didn't have them at all?
I think it's hard to put a dollar amount on the systems, but when I look at it and say, again, before, if I had someone spending, 40 hours a week on this, and now they're spending 15 hours a week, what can I have them do in that other time? That's
Right.
25 extra hours a week. I think it's hard to put a number on that, but it's generating additional income and business because we're not spending time. The transaction coordination, I don't know anyone. Well, there are some people that enjoy it. For me, I enjoy, selling and
Yeah.
growing and evolving. This is just kind of a side effect that needs to be done, and it needs to be done correct. So I don't want to spend time on it. I want it to be a system that just flows and is, super easy to go through. So.
Makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense. Okay. Shameless plug. What's it been like working with MyOutDesk?
My OutDesk has been great. I have, no complaints. Communication was great. I wanted to get started right away and was pretty demanding about that. And my request was met, which was great. I know you guys were in a major backlog,
Yeah.
um, but you were able to fit me in, which was really super important to me. And, I asked Wanda to, find other resources within my OutDesk, periodically, and she does. But as far as her training and skill sets and all of that, I really have no complaints, which I'm pretty good at finding them. So.
That's so funny. What's it been like working with a virtual assistant? Is this your first time working with a virtual assistant?
No, so I had worked with my OutDesk many years ago with a VA. So
Okay.
we had done that before, but in a VA, or I'm sorry, an ISA. But the ISA was, it was very different.
Hmm.
It's a little frustrating with a few things. We've got anniversary cards, we handwrite those. How do we figure that out? We had some hiccups with setting up, the phones and,
Hmm.
those different things. But otherwise, no issue, especially in our current climate, it makes it a lot easier. I have a client who just went under contract who complimented Wanda. She's been so great. How long has she worked with you? Because he's been a longtime client. And I said, any other feedback you have for me? He's like, no, I'm so glad you found her. Is she in your office? And that's what I was waiting for. And I
Yeah.
was like, no. I'm like, no. Oh, your office is closed. Yep, our office is closed. She's in the Philippines, actually. And he
Yeah.
was like, no kidding.
Yeah.
So this is someone that's been working with her that he had no idea that she was in the Philippines, which to me is the goal.
Yep.
I do find when she's making more of the ISA calls, she gets hung up on a lot.
Hmm.
Uh, and that might have something to do with the phone sounding a little distant. But I think that's also just a common thing that also happens, with anyone making calls. But no, I think it's a great way. She's been a lot more motivated and enthusiastic, than anyone I've had in this role in a long time in person. And finding things to do. There's days that I get busy and I'm not giving her things to do. And I feel confident she's working the whole time, which was not the case when someone was sitting in the office.